OpenAI quietly shipped one of the most practically significant infrastructure updates of the year. Agent containers in the Responses API now spin up 10 times faster. And if you've ever tried to run a real agentic workflow in production, you immediately understand why that number is a massive deal. This isn't a marketing benchmark. It's a fundamental shift in how usable these systems actually are. The core engineering change is elegantly simple. Instead of spinning up a brand new container every time an agent session begins, OpenAI now maintains a pool of pre-warmed containers ready to accept requests instantly. Think of it like the difference between booting a computer from scratch versus waking it from sleep. Code interpreter, shell access, custom skills, all of these tools now initialize from an environment that's already running and waiting. Here's something veteran AI engineers know that benchmarks rarely capture. In a multi-step agentic workflow, a single agent might chain together 30, 40, or even 100 individual tool calls. If each one carries even a 2-second cold start penalty, your total workflow time balloons catastrophically. The model inference itself is often the fastest part of the whole pipeline. It's the scaffolding around it that bleeds time. Eliminating cold starts at each node compounds into a fundamentally different user experience. This is a truth that most AI coverage misses entirely. When developers build production agent systems, they quickly discover that GPT-4 or any frontier model isn't where their latency lives. It's file input and output, environment initialization, code execution overhead, and the general scaffolding that orchestrates everything together. OpenAI is clearly engineering with this insight in mind, treating the infrastructure layer as a first-class performance problem rather than an afterthought. There's a subtle but important economic argument embedded in this architecture change. Cold starts don't just hurt performance, they create unpredictable cost spikes that are difficult to budget and optimize around. Warm container pools have a steady baseline cost that operators can measure, forecast, and tune. For enterprise teams building serious production systems, predictability is often worth more than raw cheapness. OpenAI is making a bet that serious builders will pay for reliability over gambling on cold infrastructure. There's a psychological threshold in software tools that's hard to quantify but impossible to ignore. When a system feels real-time, developers build differently. They experiment more, they iterate faster, they integrate it into workflows they'd never trust to a slow system. Multi-step coding agents have historically felt batchy and disconnected, something you kick off and come back to. Faster containers move these agents toward the interactive, conversational experience that actually changes how builders think about what's possible. The Responses API has operated somewhat under the radar compared to splashier OpenAI announcements, but it's been the backbone of production agent builders who need reliability and composability over novelty. This container pool update is a clear strategic signal that OpenAI is doubling down on making it a genuine enterprise-grade infrastructure layer. They're not just shipping capabilities, they're engineering the performance characteristics that production systems demand. That's a different kind of ambition. The most honest summary of this update is also the most important one. Faster containers won't transform a poorly designed agent into a great one. But slow infrastructure has been consistently making well-designed agents feel broken, sluggish, and untrustworthy. Removing that friction doesn't just improve benchmarks, it gives good engineering a fair chance to be experienced as good engineering. For everyone building seriously in this space, that's not a small thing. That's the difference between a tool people adopt and one they abandon.